Okay, folks, I'm just away to leave for the airport, actually. I'm down in London just now, so I'm coming back, being at the Property Investor Show. So this is just my update for the week, for the last week, which is the 2nd of October to the 8th of October yesterday. Now, this is a look at the whole of the FIFE property market, where we are in terms of number of sales, where we are in terms of the number of properties being put on the market, and it gives us a good idea about supply and demand and offers over and what we should be offering for properties as well. We also talk about things like what we had in the news during the week, and good articles that you should be engaging with just now to get the right information on what you should be doing if you're considering putting your house on the market, if you're considering buying a house as well, even if you're considering renting a house or letting a house as a landlord or a tenant. Probably this show is for you as well. So this gives a good indication about what's happened week on week. Okay, let's kick off first of all by looking at the numbers across the FIFE market. You can see there by this chart, it's turned around. I mean, last week it was a huge huge amount of properties being sold, and in terms of demand against the number of properties actually being instructed. But you can see this week in some of the regional areas, it's still like that just now, but some of the other areas actually it's again an oversupply in the area. Now it's an oversupply in the fact that we're kind of trying to get back to an equilibrium with 1,200 properties in the market, which was before the pandemic. But we've only round about 800 properties on the market through all the agents and FIFE available for sale right now. The rental market's going through huge turmoil just now with the freeze on rents as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the Cooper market, 6 properties came on, 11 properties actually sold, almost more, double the amount of properties actually sold as actually came on. East Neuk's similar, 3 properties came on, 8 properties actually sold, so East Neuk's doing quite well. St Andrews 13 versus 6, that's not unusual because St Andrews is the higher price point of FIFE, like the London of FIFE, I suppose. Leavenmouth 7 came on, 17 sold. Again, this is quite normal because Leavenmouth is extremely affordable and it's going through a huge regeneration with about over £100 million being sunk into Leavenmouth area, with the new train station and all the improvements going on in terms of the River Leven, in terms of Silver, the beach, High Street, all these different things going on in the community. Everybody's getting community engagement and funds available to regenerate the area. It's about time, I suppose. Leven's waited a long time for a train station since 1966 when it was actually closed. So it's a long time coming. Dunfermline, 71 came onto the market, actually 55 sold. Again, I think that's a lot down to the number of new builds going on in Dunfermline. New builds aren't reflected in this number. So as new builds get sold and people sell their existing properties that actually come up and instructed, we don't know who these people are that actually buy a new build. So therefore, you can't really take that out. So it maybe looks a bit skewed, but that's about as good as we're going to get there now. So I kind of think it's probably more new build in the Dunfermline area. It's been actually bought, and that's why the sold numbers are a bit lower. Glenrothes 27 versus 10. Glenrothes is actually the similar situation. There's a lot of new build going on in Glenrothes, and Kirkcaldy as well, 25 versus 19. So it's really central to the west of FIFE. Actually, all the new builds are going on, predominantly because they're quite concentrated in the areas. And that tends to be why there's a lot of new build in the areas as well. Glenrothes, especially with the new Tillis Russell, with Tillis Russell's land before and all the new builds going on in there. And some other areas of Glenrothes and Kirkcaldy as well. So overall in the week, 152 properties came to market, 126 sold. So it's actually spun round from it has of the week before. The week before it was the other way around, where there was a lot more coming on. But what it does tell me, let's look at these numbers again. This 126 sold is very, very consistent every single week, and it has been since the start of the year. This actually tells us it's the same demand for property and the number of properties being bought, because it's all transactional, remember. It's not the price that we should be bothered about at this point in time to work out and gauge the health of the property market. It's actually the number of transactions being sold and number of transactions being coming onto the market. So the 126 in here is quite normal, and it's quite a normal rate of the amount of properties to come on every single week in FIFE since the beginning of the year. So it tells me that the demand is still there and the property market is quite healthy. What's happening right now is an oversupply in comparison to what's been sold, and that is effectively just a normal alignment, realignment, and correction. It's not a, oh my God, the world's falling in, people aren't buying houses. It's not. It just means there's more properties coming on right now than there typically usually is. But every day, it's the same amount of people. It's about 20 people making a decision every day to buy a house, which is the 126 being sold every single week. So it tells me that the market is still very, very stable. The oversupply tells me that you'll take a bit longer to sell a house, but that shouldn't be perceived as there's a problem with the property market overall in general. All it is the fact that there's more properties for the buyers to choose from, and the same amount of buyers are still in the marketplace buying houses as there was at the start of the year. So we're still very, very healthy in terms of the property market. It will take, rather than it taking 4 weeks to sell on average, it now takes around about 7 to 8 weeks. And I'll show you that right now, actually. This is a good one to show you. Let's talk about the ones that have actually sold. This is in, just bear with me, this is actually in, give me 2 seconds. It's Glenrothes, I know that anyway. It's Carham House in Glenrothes. Now, this sold in 3 weeks. This one here, I'm showing you. So that sold in 3 weeks, that property. So, you know, normally that would go in a week. That would go in a few days. But it took 3 weeks, a 1-bedroom apartment. It was listed at offers over £80,000. So that's what these properties are actually getting in the Glenrothes area. The next one here is actually Snowdrop Cottage in King's Kettle. So this is Snowdrop Cottage in King's Kettle. This was sold in 2 weeks, a 2-bedroom semi-detached cottage. And again, that was listed at offers over 165,000. So that's what these types of properties are going for in the King's Kettle area. Next one up here is the West 4th Street in Cellardyke. See this up here, this balcony. When you walk out of this master bedroom on this balcony, it has 180-degree views right across the houses and right across the Firth of Forth to Edinburgh, East Berwick. You can see the May Isle, you can see the Barsh Rock, you can see, you know, way in the distance, you can see right along the coastline as well. It is a spectacular view. No wonder this property is actually sold. Stunning in itself. So that's away, that one. And that was on offers over £380,000. So that was a 3-bedroom detached house, but it is pretty spectacular in terms of where it is and what it is. So fantastic property. This is the one that tells me property market slowing down. This is Highgrove, the Grove and High Road in Strathkinnis. Now, this was offers over 550,000. This was a 5-bedroom detached house. And typically, as I said, this would go pretty quick in any normal circumstances. But the market has got an oversupply now, and people are being, you know, a wee bit cautious with their money. So then for the higher value properties are actually taking a wee bit longer to sell. And when, you know, 6 months ago, this probably would have gone in a week, maybe 2 weeks at the very most. It might have gone in a couple of days, to be honest. But now it's taken maybe a month, maybe 2 months to actually sell that type of property because of the price point. And that's okay. So if you've got a property at that price point, and in terms of the size and the price, don't be too concerned if it takes a wee bit longer to sell. Just hang on in there. What have you got to lose? I've heard people saying, "Oh, it's no selling. I better just take my house off the market." Okay, but are you moving? Yeah, I'm moving. Okay, so how are you going to move if your house is on the market? Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, just leave it on there. It's true though, because we obviously think because it's no selling, it will never ever sell. Because it's no selling at that point in time, it will never ever sell. But 20 people make a decision every single day to buy a property in Fife. That's the 126 to 140 properties are actually getting listed every single week. So 20 people every single day. So it maybe might not sell the day, but the person that comes into the market looking for your type of property might be in the next day or the day after. So hang on in there. It doesn't take, you know, typically it's just a waiting game. That's the reality. So that's the one at Strathkinnis. That's the Grove High Road, Strathkinnis. So that's a real good indicator about where we are in terms of the property market right now. Offers over 550,000. It is actually sold now as a 5-bedroom detached house. The coming soons. Let's talk about the coming soons. What we've got coming soons. Hang on to your hats here. Oh, actually, quick. We'll nip back just 2 seconds to talk about a couple of blogs. So we have yesterday we did autumn market view. The autumn market view was planning your spring move. If you're planning to move in spring, doing it now could save you time and money. And it's genuine here. It's like, if you watch the show, you'll understand. We talk about the things that make it the most important time is to do it now and actually get somebody to agree to your entry date, which you will get. But remember, as I said before, with some of the properties, it is actually just a waiting game. You're better to be in a position where you've got an offer on your house and it's flexible in terms of that, and it might take a wee bit of time for that person to come along, rather than wait till the last minute and see your dream home and then realise that, oh, wait a minute, I'm just about to put myself under pressure because I've now got to put my house on the market. I've now got to get an offer in a few weeks in order to keep this house that I'm wanting to, I've had an accepted offer on. So, and do you really want to put yourself under that much pressure? But that's what most people are actually doing. So speak to an estate agent now and actually get the right advice. And the right advice is more than likely to put your house on. Now, I'll tell you a wee story actually. I went to see somebody the other day in the East Nuke area. I'll not be too specific. And actually we got to the end of the conversation and I said, to be honest, you don't need to move house. I would just adapt your downstairs, I would adapt your upstairs. You'll have living on all one level and you'll still be able to maintain the existing lifestyle, because to be honest, the exit cost of selling your house and the entry cost of buying a new house, it'll just make it too prohibitive. And then you're jumping out of almost everything you wanted into a frying pan, and effectively an unknown about the fact that, will you really like this and will you get good neighbours? Why would you want to do that if you're exactly where you are right now? And would you just actually, with a few £100s, you can make that happen and just stay where you are? So it's not all the time I would advise someone to sell their house. It's actually genuinely, if I don't think you should be selling your house, I'd be telling you the reasons for not selling your house, but I'd also be telling the reasons why you probably would want to sell your house as well, and leave it up to yourself based on the facts about what you really want to do. That's what we're here for. We're not here just to put people's houses on the market. We're here to help people manage their life as it happens. Anyway, let me talk about quickly about what's coming soon. Okay, coming soon. Riverside Way in Leaven. This is a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, will be coming soon. Watch out for that one. Eagle Road in Buckhaven, a 2-bedroom apartment, will be coming soon. Tolbooth Wynd in Cellar Dyke. That's a 2-bedroom terraced house. Wait till you see where this property is and the amazing views you've got over the Firth of Forth, right next to the sea. It is glorious and it's a spectacular location. I'm really looking forward to doing the drone footage on this. I'm really looking forward to doing the walks as well. It's got a wee hidden secret place down the stairs as well, which is ideal. And just such a unique property inside. It's pretty idyllic. So watch out for Tolbooth Winding Cellar Dyke. Back Dykes in Kilrenny, 6-bedroom detached house will be coming as well, coming soon, which is this week, I think it is. We'll be doing pre-portals on that. I'll be doing individual drone footage for that as well. So Back Dykes in Kilrenny, 6-bedroom detached house. This is a beautiful property inside. Massive, absolutely massive site. I remember when you go into the front hall, it's like the front hall is really, really big in terms of the size, and then every single room's like that as well. And then it's got the front garden, it's got the side garden, it's got off-street parking as well, for several cars. And it's a really, really good plot. Love that. I love the house. Kelsey House in Achtermachty, that's a 2-bedroom upper apartment, is coming soon as well. Let me talk quickly about a blog and a show we did during the week, the midweek show. Now, all this information's on here, by the way. You can click on the links and watch the shows and listen to the podcasts on these ones, especially one yesterday as we did with the autumn market view. But also we did a show on midweek about what will interest rate rises mean for FIFE homeowners and landlords. I mean, with the recent interest rate changes, it means that FIFE will mean for FIFE homeowners and landlords, they're certainly going to change the FIFE property market in a wee bit. Yet, actually not in the way you think. So the interest rate rises that have actually happened, it might be to come as well, and the inflation and all these different factors, and the swap rates in the market as well. in terms of how much the Bank of England loans from the property market, from the market, determines how much the base rate is. Then it also determines how much bonds and gilts are, and it also determines how much pension funds get in terms of returns, and also determines how much mortgage companies charge for their mortgages as well, and that ends up affecting us at the end user. That was actually a really good show midweek. So if you want to know about that, what the interest rate rises will mean for you as FIFE homeowners and landlords, definitely tune into that. You can read the article, to be honest. It takes literally 3 minutes on these links. But ideally, I would listen to the podcast or watch the show, because it's a really good insight into the property market. If you're involved in the property market in any way, in the FIFE property market or any property market, to be honest, because a lot of this stuff is completely relevant to the rest of the UK, because we talk about economic terms, macro and micro. Then tune into these shows, click on it and listen to the podcast when you can. Make your car or your travelling to work a mobile university. Just sit and listen to all this. If you're involved in property or want to get involved in property, this is the education process to take. The mother of all skill is repetition, and listening and hearing this all the time in order to be skillful at what you do and how to implement it. And this will give you all that insight into the shows that we do. Let me talk about what was over the line this week. And over the line, I mean by completed sales. Okay, so completed sales this week. Mans Park in Kenway, a 3-bedroom detached house. It was sold in 1 month. See, takes a wee bit longer, and it was actually sold for just 2% over the home report value. Another £5,000 more. £5,000 more actually paid for all the fees for the seller. So fantastic. They got their fees paid and they got the right price for the house. So new owners still do their house as well. Win-win situation. That's the whole point. Morton Crescent, St Andrews, 4-bedroom detached house. It was sold for more than the home report value as well. It was, and that went away at £380,000. Corling Cottage, Malt Row in Pitlessie. This is a cracking property. If you ever saw that pre-portal on that personal property tour we did, and some of the aerial photographs, 4-bedroom detached house in Pitlessie, and that was sold in a week for 14% over the home report value. That represented another £65,000 more for the owner, the seller at the time, and it went for £515,000. One other person actually missed out on this property. So if you've got a property about the £500,000 price point, 4-bedroom detached, with a bit of land and really good finish inside, in the Pitlessie area, surrounding area, then come and speak to us. You never know what that will do for you in terms of, if you look to downsize, and you think to yourself, well, wait a minute, I can just downsize to something at 250,000. I've got all my mortgage paid, so I can have 250,000 in my hand. How long will that last you? A long time. Imagine having £20,000 in your hand for the next 12 years to live on. Not a jot of a care in the world you would have, really, because you would be able to survive quite easily, and then you would still be earning as well, because you might have a wee part-time job or something like that. So that's the sort of things that it can give you the opportunities to do. But unless you don't know what you don't know, and it's our job to tell you what you don't know, and that's the whole point. It's education. I always talk about, somebody talked about education as power, but I say education is empowerment. It empowers you to make the right decisions based on the facts and the information that you have and you need at that point in time, in order to make the right decisions for you, rather than actually make decisions on opinion, which could either be right or wrong. There's no facts involved in that at all. It's just somebody's opinion. So get the facts, ask your estate agent. Most important thing is get the right advice, and then make decisions from there. And that's it. Okay, Wealth Creation Show, final one for us. Wealth Creation Show. Richard and I will be talking at the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow, 12:30. Tune into that. Now, the channels on here, the live channels, it's live streamed on our YouTube channels, live streamed on my public profile, my personal profile as well. We do share it to the office pages, but the Wealth Creation Show is a kind of a personal project for me. It's to leave a lot of information and legacy and knowledge. So it's timeless content I'm producing here. It will be relevant in 20 years' time, in 50 years' time, in 100 years' time for the next generations of the Parkers. That's effectively why I'm doing it. But the great thing is everybody gets an opportunity to listen and tune into this as well, and actually have all the access to all this information free of charge. It is about my personal experience as an investor over the last 30 years, which has taken me from homeless and unemployed to quite a privileged position. And I'm not finished yet. I'm still learning all the time, hence the reason why I'm in London at one of the biggest, well, the biggest property investment show in the UK as it stands. There's thousands of people that come along to this, and there's really high profile advisors in their specific fields like accountancy, taxation, property investment, property training, economic macro and microeconomics, and in order to give me a good insight into where the property market is, where the financial markets are going, where the UK is going in terms of employment and employment figures and statistics and things like that as well. And that knowledge and information is distilled and put into things like the Wealth Creation Show. Tomorrow's Wealth Creation Show is, we're going to be talking about it, to be honest. Everybody's asking this question: is buy to let really worth it anymore? Yeah. Is it really worth it? Well, find out tomorrow. I mean, really, it seems like every other day, the UK and the Scottish governments are using the private landlords and investors as the sacrificial lambs to gain political points and to justify their stance on implementing draconian legislation, some of which could have serious issues for tenants themselves. I mean, just today I saw on a social media platform that one of the landlords has actually had to put more stringent controls in to make sure they get the right person. So they've had to insist on guarantors. They've had to insist on more economic, more income. In other words, a higher income status. They've also had to insist on taking possibly an allocation of rent up front. They've also had to insist on taking 2 months deposit instead of 1 month. But this has all been driven by the fact that the Scottish Government put in the freeze on rent and the moratorium on evictions. Landlords, just to be honest, can't afford to take risks, because if they get it wrong, they could have serious implications and financial penalties. But the person that's actually losing out because of this draconian legislation is actually the tenant. The most vulnerable people in our society are suffering because of this legislation that's been put in place. And I don't think the Scottish Government actually realise that is the case. But we've tried to feed back as much of that as possible to them in blogs and vlogs and articles, in other words, and influencing them and telling them, look, you may think this sounds like a great plan at the top end in a bigger picture, but in reality, how it's implemented on the ground and how it comes across and how it affects tenants is worse than what it is for them right now. So you need to make sure you actually do it properly. Unfortunately, they have listened a wee bit, to be honest, but they've no listened to the right point, and the people that are the most vulnerable in society are actually going to suffer for it, because let's be honest, the 70% of council housing that was sold off in the 80s has never been replaced by affordable and social housing. There's been no housing policy by any government actually to replace this stock which was sold off. It's talking about hundreds of thousands of properties were actually sold off. They've never been replaced for social housing and affordable housing for people, and the most vulnerable in the society are actually suffering as a result of it. And unfortunately, the people that used to pick up all that slack were the private landlords. And because of the draconian legislation, we can't do that anymore. We can't afford to take that huge risk anymore. So that's what it's done. So it's all about being informed about the right things. So you can tune in to the Wealth Creation Show. We're going to talk about is buy to let really worth it tomorrow, and the implications involved. But hopefully that gives you a great insight. And until tomorrow at 12:30.